This just in, I'm Jerry Cooey, and welcome to Santa Rosa Week.
I'm Deborah Nelson.
How you doing, folks? You know, we continue to get good feedback.
Yes.
You had a comment, you know, something, which show was it?
One of our viewers very much enjoyed our discussion of the prison.
Yeah. Well, I was, and actually am still a little emotional over that whole issue, and if we have a little time at the end of the show, I can probably see myself getting fired up again because it's still getting kicked around, as they say in the legislature.
Well, if there's one lesson that you learn when you work in the media and you go out and you interview people sort of out in the community and on the street, you really, it's something that everyone who's in the media should have to do every couple years, go out and get that experience again. It reinforces that people are not stupid.
Exactly.
They're not as stupid as some of our elected officials would like to hope they are.
Right. Well, you know, one of the things that I've noticed, and especially with the because the Maritime Park Board's been such a big story in the Pensacola News Journal, I read all the blog entries by folks, and for example, someone had put links to some emails. Well, I had no idea what they might be, so I put it in my browser window and go take a look at it, and here's a whole collection of some emails that look very questionable, insiders talking to each other, and one of them that said, for example, well, we have 5 council members in our pocket, we got to work on 2 more. And that was all from people you don't know who they are.
Yeah.
They knew where this information was, posted on the blog. Tremendous amount of folks posting things, not just to that story, but almost every story that kind of has a big interest in the community. There's always someone who has some inside, and you go take a look at their claim to inside information, and typically, they'll post a link to court records.
Yeah.
For example, and you go take a look, and yes, indeed, this person did have, 4 DUIs and 3 liens against them, that kind of stuff, So
it can be very illuminating.
You're right. There are a lot of folks out there that, for whatever reason, they're uncomfortable with stepping up to a microphone with the camera rolling. But when they see that, and I believe a lot of them's motives are pure. It's their community.
Yeah.
And they think everything should be aired. Every possible thing involving whatever the topic of discussion is should be aired and should be brought for consideration. And we certainly see that. Now, folks, one of the big topics of discussion has been the SB 6.
Right. The teacher pay bill that, as of this airing, we don't know whether the governor signed it or vetoed it. We hope that he vetoed it.
Right. And folks, this is my humble opinion now.
As of this taping, we don't know.
Right.
When it's aired, it will have already happened.
There are some things in that bill that I like. I've always been concerned about government in general, in that they kind of follow different rules from the private sector.
Well, let's just up front, let's just say the point of the bill is that teachers are penalized if students do poorly on the standardized tests, like the
right, and that's just kind of one piece of it.
Right.
But where I was going with that is, in 15 years ago and back, citizens tried first to get a job in the private sector, and if they were unsuccessful in the private sector, then they would take a public sector job in the government. And what we have seen is higher pay has been handed out on the public sector jobs, way better benefits, job protection that the private sector doesn't offer. I mean, anybody who works in the private sector knows if you don't produce, you're gone.
We know that.
I mean, that's just how it is. And so there was some things in it I liked. My major problem with that bill, and folks, you have to. There was a lot of reading involved in this thing, and a lot of asking questions. But your legislatures, the legislature was going to take 5% of the total education budget and take it back to Tallahassee. And we are not, and I'm not an advocate of throw money at it till the problem goes away. There are some issues in where we spend money at, and I don't think we're doing it efficiently. You know this, and a lot of folks that watch the show know this. I do my best to be a supporter of arts in education in Santa Rosa County. And if they pull money away from the school district, 5% off of an already troubled budget, then it may force Santa Rosa County into saying, well, we can't fund the arts at all anymore because English, history, math, and science. And I would agree with that decision. I'm just saying that that's the part of the bill that I don't agree with.
Well, and I think that's the goal of this legislature, is to starve the schools to death and then take the money and hand it to their buddies in private schools, or maybe some of them want to start private schools. Yeah. And that's free money. And we've seen how untransparent that type of government contract could be. I mean, the private school program that Jeb Bush started weren't even subject to FCAT testing.
Right.
So I don't understand what the point of it
and zero transparency,
right.
And can't see the dollars.
Right.
And unless it makes the national news with a hidden camera, you don't know what the discipline is, what the procedures are, all that kind of stuff.
And it's about greed. It's about taking public dollars and not having to account for them. And what these people perceive is that this is just an easy job. You can just hire, my buddy can come in and teach math or history or whatever. It's not that hard. It's a form of babysitting. That's what these people think it's going to be, and they're going to make money off it. As far as what you were talking about with teachers being government employees, that's a profession where it's a lifelong series of sacrifices that you make, and I had a toe in that world, and that's how I can tell you that. If you've been a teacher for 20, 25 years, there's very few other career areas. If you decide you're tired of it, you want to step out of it, there's very few other career areas where they're going to hire you, and you're going to just step in and start doing something else. Very difficult once you've done it.
Just this whole thing.
And it's a very hard job.
Too much, too fast in this legislation. It was a complete surprise to the world. And I'll tell you, folks, look, I've focused my political, or done my best to focus my political endeavors into the county in which I live. And my eyes were really open to the legislative process over the prison issue. And now that I've watched the process on this, look, I will tell you, it is not uncommon that on Thursday there is not a bill written, and on Friday afternoon at 4:30 there's a 27-page bill that gets dropped off, and it's scheduled for discussion on Monday morning at 10 a.m. and a vote on Tuesday.
Yeah.
And
they're attacking the public school system. This is a part of America's heritage. We've had a public school system for almost since America's inception. It's sort of a it's something they've been trying to attack for a long time, and I think they feel like this is the year they can get it. They can just get it through. We saw that Jeb Bush called and some of the cartoons portrayed him as bullying.
My thing is, and I get back to the performance issue.